It's been a long journey, but here we are, the last day of regular season play in the CCL, and it is a great way to open this up with some banger matchups. And to bring this action, myself, Seymour, alongside Cruz, the duo, to open up the Alpha stream. I'm excited. You know, it's been a long season, a lot of teams making some waves, making changes, and on the rise. And Cruz, the only thing that's next is playoffs after this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not wrong at all. It absolutely has been a very, very long season. 11 weeks of action. Obviously, we had those 2 weeks off. So, 13 weeks in total since the start of the regular season for CCL. And, I mean, honestly, I don't think things could have gotten any crazier than last year, and then we had this year come in, and it has just absolutely blown things to a completely new perspective here in the CCL this season.
No, and I say, you know, the only thing next is playoffs, but we do have LCQ before that, so still not done just yet. We got a ways to go before we crown a champion in Vanguard, but on this last day, to open things up, we got a heater of a matchup. We got the Bay State Bulldogs versus Davenport Panthers, match number 1. Jesse, how you feeling about these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. I think that it's going to be an interesting matchup between these two. I mean, Davenport obviously has been kind of on a hot streak lately with the Intercollegiate COD. They've now bumped up all the way to number 10 in the CCL Power Rankings as well. But they're going up against the number 1 team in Bay State. And this is going to be a really big test for Davenport. They need to come into this match and kind of just take this match as a match you're coming in to go up against the number 1 team. It's a very good chance to get some good practice in an actual in-match setup as opposed to just playing them in scrims and other things that they would normally play Bay State in.
It's definitely going to be when we're looking throughout the whole series. But let's take a look at this head-to-head because these two teams have not gone toe-to-toe against each other just yet. And to flip things over, you can look. Two very different settings as well, or season records. You look at Davenport, 16-3, Bay State 18-0. The only maps Bay State have actually dropped are to the number 2 team in Northwood. So that's a solid record right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And those 2 maps last week were, like you said, the only 2 that they dropped. It was 1 hardpoint, 1 control. Very much so handled business inside of the search and destroys, and very much so inside of that first hardpoint. Bay State looked very good inside of that matchup against Northwood. And then on the other side, you've got Davenport, and obviously not as clean as a record coming through for Davenport. And really for them this season, and I think what's been hurting them the most against other top-cut competition inside of the Tier 1 Northeast Division has been their search and destroy. It just hasn't been the cleanest for them, and they're definitely going to need to clean that up going up against a team like Bay State.
For sure. We're going to have to see if they have what it takes, Jesse, to go up against the best, the Titans in CCL. But let's take a look at that home team for sure. We got the Davenport Panthers, and representing them, Anthrax, Sheldon, Gecko, and North.
And this team is a very, very good team. All 4 players, they played together for a very long time. If you don't know, they've been playing together since they were younger, going to high school. This team has now kind of grown together through a lot. They've got a ton of chemistry. And now not only from high school, they've gone on to university, Davenport University to be exact, and they're still playing together. The team is still finding a lot of success. And I think if I'm looking at one player on this team to really be popping off, Colin, it's Anthrax. He's been playing very, very strong lately.
No, Anthrax and Gecko both in that whole sense. You know, the two, I guess, somewhat leaders of the team, and hopefully that leadership, you know, hopefully that synergy that you're talking about can maybe chip the momentum that they've had, you know, from the hot streak. Hopefully that can chip through the Bulldogs inside of this matchup and kind of bring it to the best roster in CCL. But talking about that best roster in the CCL, let's take a look at the away team, Jesse. The Bay State Bulldogs, a star-studded lineup topping the list in the power rankings. Silly, Rex, Phantoms, and Druxy.
And I mean, what more is there to really say about this roster? You just say the names and you're striking fear into your opponents. I mean, you've got the world champion in Silly, Druxy, Phantoms, and Rex, who are all very, very good Challengers players. Phantoms obviously did have that small stint inside of the league as well when it was the CWL. And I mean, a very, very talented team. Now going to Bay State in this college, and I mean, they've come to CCL this year, and they've absolutely run the CCL this year. Like we said, coming into this one, only 2 maps lost on the season. A very, very talented team.
Like you say, what more do you have to say? I mean, you just look at that. That's a tough roster to go up against. Strikes fear into your eyes, and hopefully Davenport have the recipe to success to bring it to them today. But let's take a look at the roadmap, Jesse. The maps for this series. going to be a long one, or hopefully it's going to be a long one for these two, but it's all going to start on Tuscan Hardpoint. Map 2, Berlin, Search and Destroy. Map 3, Gavitu Control. If you go to that map 4 and 5, you get that double dose of Gavitu, and you end on Tuscan Search if it goes all the way. It's an interesting map set when you're looking at it. How are you feeling about it, bud?
I'm feeling good. I think that it's a good map set for both teams. I think that Bay State, obviously, we saw the talent of their team, especially inside of Search and Destroy last week. So I think that's where Davenport's really going to kind of be struggling against Bay State, especially in that Berlin Search and Destroy. Bay State against Northwood last week, I believe it was a 6-2 or a 6-1 win against Northwood. So a very, very good map for them there. And then the Tuscan Search and Destroy, I mean, it's Tuscan S&D. It's going to be a map that's going to be tough for a lot of teams to be able to win against a team like Bay State themselves. I think what I'm kind of most looking at, though, Colin, when I'm looking at those overall maps, is how are the hard points and the control going to play? Because there was a patch that came through today. Spawns are going to be very, very different. So I might be losing some hair in this matchup today watching these spawns come in. Because hopefully they're going to come through and make a lot of sense.
Hopefully it made things better. I mean, we know that spawns have changed. We know something has changed. We don't know exactly what it is. So we're going to be kind of taking it as it goes, seeing if it's really going to be impactful for the matches that we do see. But when you take a look at the series, when you take a look at the maps, Jesse, I mean, definitely looking at things through Davenport's eyes here, as they're the team really who wants to take this win against Bay State, who wants to maybe even kind of put on a show, maybe even show that they can go toe-to-toe with the best in the league right now. What are you looking at from them? What do they need to bring to the table?
Well, I think that they need to keep things scrappy, and I think they've got a pretty good map set to do so, but I think that when this team is playing at their best is when they're just full-on running at the other team, 4-on-4 gunfights, and keeping things very, very trade-heavy, just making sure they're winning their trades and coming out on top. When you're going up against a team like Bay State, though, it's going to be very hard to be able to win like that, so they need to make sure that they have 2 levels to their offense. You can't just be running heads down and being able to have all the confidence to win every single gunfight, because you're just simply not going to against a team like Bay State. So if they can keep things scrappy but also playing into their own hands, I think that's how they're going to find a recipe for success here today.
I mean, we talk about this roster, or lately we've been talking about this roster, you and I, very much, and every single time we do, they're aggressive, they're they're just fast, they thrive in those high octane situations. And I mean, you were referencing the map set. Do you think when you're looking at this set in the best of 5, there's a chance to take maybe even the Search and Destroyer control against a team like Bay State?
It's tough. I don't think that the searches are really going to be in their hands. I mean, I'd like to be surprised. I'd like to be disappointed in that they can come out and they can take a Search and Destroy off Bay State, but I just don't think that they have it in them, honestly. Just looking at overall records, I mean, against other Tier 1 competition, this Davenport roster comes in at 6-5 in Search and Destroy. So going up against the 11-0 Search and Destroy of Bay State, I think that's going to be a very tall ask. Now, when we look at the hard points and the control, on the other hand, Davenport comes in 10-4 record against Tier 1, 6-2 record in control against Tier 1. So, I mean, it's definitely possible, and they can definitely upset and take a map or two off of this Bay State roster. But I think if they're going to win this series, I think it's going to have to be in 4 matches, and it's probably going to have to be all 3 respawns.
I mean, we saw last week versus Northwood, or in the match for Bay State versus Northwood, is that map 3 and 4, they did lose it, although it was an extremely close hard point with a comeback from Northwood and a control that was in their favor. But like you said, I mean, that was Northwood. This is Davenport. That was the number 2 team. This is the number 10 team in the CCL power rankings. So Davenport right now, I think if you're looking from their point of view, it's an opportunity to show you bring in the playoffs, an opportunity maybe to show that you could take some maps off of Bay State and hopefully grow your stocks. Like I said, going into the playoffs here, you mentioned at the start of the series that this match isn't so much going to be affecting the seeding for this because of that seeding being locked in after Rutgers 3-0s McMaster in their round 9 matchup. So nothing's going to be changing between Davenport or Bay State inside their placing for their league. But I mean, this is a great chance just to get some good old practice in a match setting when the pressure is there and it's all laid out on the table.
Yeah, it's a good chance to get some reps, right? That's the big thing. And honestly, if Davenport wants to shoot even higher up the rankings inside of CCL, I think all they got to do is win a map today, and I think that their power rankings are going to shoot straight up through from that number 10 spot, and they could be in an even higher spot in terms of power rankings heading into the playoffs. And wouldn't that be great for this roster? I mean, I don't think a lot of people are expecting them to come out and win this match here today, but honestly, it'd be a very, very nice surprise to see if they can come out and take Bay State to the edge of the limit and just go toe-to-toe with this roster. But I think anybody inside of CCL's top 10 on any given day can win a match. It just kind of comes down to who's going to kind of show up on that day. If you come out hot, if you come out slow. I mean, we could have Bay State come out in this map one and be extremely slow, and Davenport could take full advantage of it and be able to win the map. You just never know because all these teams are just so talented inside of our top 10.
Call of Duty's a day-to-day game, Jesse. Day-to-day game. Whoever shows up for that hour, I mean, they're the team that's going to walk out victorious. And, you know, you and I, we've been seeing this Davenport roster a lot. You know, last week we saw them in other leagues, and, you know, going up against teams like Chattanooga, like St. Clair Saints, they looked like, you know, what we knew they were, a strong team, but they looked like they've been just elevating themselves even higher as a squad, growing together, you know, synergizing even more, and making sure that when they do come out to the games, they're starting off strong. They're not waiting in a couple maps to heat up. They're starting off strong every single time we see them.
Oh, for sure. And I think this team has only gotten better and better as the season has gone along as well, which is a scary thing as well, because the longer the season goes along, I expect them to continue to still be getting better and better with the more and more reps that they get against these top teams. And that's another big thing with this match is, like, even if you lose this match, it's great VOD to go over against the top team, learn from your mistakes, take that into playoffs, and use that in playoffs to kind of bounce back, especially the Search and Destroy. If they're not going over this S&D VOD after, I feel like there would be a big mistake within kind of the team judgment in that point. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this Davenport roster, that when they started the season, they were kind of coming fresh into the CCL. They haven't been the greatest roster throughout the start. They played St. Clair very early in the season as well, but they won against them 3-1. But like you said, in that other league that we were watching later on in the year, last week, they 3-0'd St. Clair. So clearly this team, they've kind of hit another level. They're getting a lot better than where they were at the start of the season.
Consistency is key. Momentum, it's key. And it's what we're hoping Davenport can bring to the table here against the best team in the league. But I know you guys are chat are probably saying, Casters, come on, start the game. I want to see the game just as much as you want to see the game. We're just waiting on one more player to get into the lobby. We're going to cut to a break, and as soon as we get things going, we're going to see a Tuscan hardpoint. We'll see you in a bit, folks. Well, we didn't wait too long to get into the game. We're heading into Tuscan hardpoint. Bay State Esports on the right, the Panthers on the left, and it looks like we're getting the better spawns for Davenport as well. No, it's going to be Bay State with the better spawns. Anthrax looking to take it down, already good for one. You get two in the feed, starting that flank, and if they get these last remaining players, flip out this map, what a start we're seeing out of Davenport.
Yeah, if you're ever wondering where Anthrax is, turn around, because very likely he's going to be on the flank coming in from behind you. And this is a very good start here for Davenport, up to that 20-0 start right off the rip of this game. Continuing to lock down this P1, continuing to shut down Bay State as they try to come off spawn. We'll get a little 2-for-2 trade here, but Bay State very much so just needs to kind of put focus on just getting this rotation one over towards New. Speaking of that rotation, you just saw a big one-on-one from Gecko come through. Fortunately, we'll get traded out by Druxy, and that should at least lock down these initial spawns here for Bay State going into P2.
It was a big shutdown from Druxy, but is he ready for the next couple? Crossfire with Phantoms. Sheldon, the trade. Still numbers for Bay State on the rotation here. Davenport need to find a way into this one because Bulldog's starting to gain some time into this pillar hill. Nade from Druxy gets the information. You know that the Panthers flooding on in from maps, and as they go one by one, look at that kill feed. It's lighting up all blue, Jesse. Bay State, they're shutting down this attack from the Panthers again and again, and finally you get some momentum, but only with a few 30 seconds left into this hill. You want to clear this one fast if you want to get a good chunk of time, and this is not going to be easy as you see the respawns come through. Phantoms clears out Gecko. Silly for two. Sheldon's the only one close, and he's not going to last very long.
Oh, the kill feed that was once all red for Davenport, now coming through, and it's all blue for Bay State inside of this P2 hill. And just like in that first set of rotations, or in that first rotation from Hill 1 to Hill 2, when Bay State just had to give up the remaining time, that's very much so what you're seeing from Davenport right now. They need to just give up this time, rotate across the map, get set up here for P3, and just try to lock down a good P3 hold here on the Fountain Hill. And it's looking like they're setting up for one right now. And Sheldon, as long as he wins that fight up top broken, this should now be setting up for a good hold.
These fights are close, Jesse. You got a flank from Phantom, so Panthers, they need to force the aggression soon. Sheldon's last alive. in a position. He's going to play his life back up, wait for the reinforcements to come, but they're not coming at all. He's still on this island. He's still alone, and he's going to find a few kills, but Rex is going to trade him out finally. The break from Bulldogs so early. You got 30 seconds still to gain, and now the Panthers spawning up P1, and you got to get through a lot of guns just to touch down on this one. Finally, they find the opening, but here comes Rex to shut this one down with the back door open. He's looking to close it.
And it was looking like it was going to be a good hold there for Davenport, but unfortunately for them, Dylan Rex on the outside of the rooftops was able to win his first gunfight there, and it just completely flipped those spawns out. Once they lost all those other gunfights, Davenport completely spawned out. So once again, she's going to give up that scrap time, completely make their rotation here over towards Church. But little do they know, once again, Dylan Rex has been able to sneak in behind the line.
Always a behind. Almost like what we saw out of Anthrax, and here he comes. Already finds one, expects the second round. Brilliant read out of Rex to shut down two. And now taking out the player up top three. Out of the life from Rex is going to allow Bulldogs to put some pressure in, but losing the gunfights to Sheldon will continue to hold this time in favor of the Panthers. As you can see, Bay State Bulldogs flooding on in from the north side of the minimap, seeing if they can take control of this. No! Phantoms finds a teammate onto two players, slows down this push from the Bulldogs, and he's got to redeem himself right now, looking to push in solo dolo, but it's not going to work like that. He's looking to his teammates to hold this one down, but it's brilliant out of the Panthers right now. Off that team nade, they are thriving.
Yeah, Phantoms lighting up the kill feed, but not in the way that you want. Two team nades come on through with just one grenade coming in, and it's going to be the rotation now over towards P5, over towards our command center hill, and very much so looking like Davenport setting up here. It's going to be an early 3-on-3 here for this hill. It will be the first team to get a little bit of time here, but Bay State, with finding all these picks, it should be a matter of seconds until they're able to push into the hill and break.
Neck and neck game, Jesse. Hill 5. Not the easiest hill to break these days, but Davenport looking to do it head on from the platform side of this. 3 go down. The chance now to hop on in. Bay State spawning up over towards Fire Building and now working together to break this one. Here come the nades. Here comes the disarray on the inside. But can the Panthers hold on to this wave of Bulldogs? Inside they go. Rex for one. Slides onto the second, but shut down from get-go as they're continuing to hold this lead.
Davenport in this first set of rotations has very much so held their own here. They've got a 15-second lead right now, can continue to grow it up, maybe even be a 25-second lead by the end of this first set of rotations. They will finally get broken at the very end, so lead will stabilize right around the same as what it was before, right around 15 seconds as we head towards our second set of rotations. But here's the big thing. In our first set, Davenport got a ton of time here on this P1 hill. Right now, it's Bay State first team here, first team setup.
First team setup. Now looking for time. Nobody in the hill at the moment, so the time clock is burning, but a flurry of kills out of the Bulldogs. Silly's going to hop in to collect. Panthers spawning up towards the left side of the minimap. Working from that P3 area, but already set up the AR. Is going to be hard to walk past this one if you are Davenport. Into the hill comes Anthrax. 2 go down from the Bulldogs, and Anthrax flies on out to take down Silly. 3 go down. The break's in.
That's a big, big break there for Davenport as well, because Davenport in that second hill, we saw in the last set of rotations, they weren't able to get that break, and right now Bay State is still very much so in control of those spawns. So just getting this break in a P1, being able to get some good scrap time here going in towards P2 is big, and actually Gecko slipped the line. So this is something that we didn't see in the last set of rotations. Gecko has slipped to the back, and he's actually pulled spawns now for Davenport.
Player number 8, Phantoms, needed to stay alive, but he's going to drop another 3 down in the feed for the Bulldogs, and spawning up to the middle of the map. Droxy gets shut down as well, back to P2. An early time here from the Panthers. You got to hold off the next wave of kills because the Bulldogs hot on their heels. They clear out this site. They clean things up. They hop in for the initial time, Jesse, and now spawning in the back of the Panthers, but almost kind of spawn trapped here.
Wow, it really did feel like a spawn trap, because as soon as they peeked their heads out, Bay State dropped them down. But just as quickly, though, Davenport will spawn up in the middle of the map, so they can reinforce this quickly. They hop right back in. Unfortunate team nade comes through, though, so it will dwindle their numbers, and Bay State, for now, will hold the line, and Davenport's just chalking it. They're going to rotate across the map now, try to set up for this Fountain Hill, and they had the setup the last time, but they got broken extremely early. Look to see if they make any adjustments here on the rotations. You
can't let that break happen this time around, Jesse. You talk about the hard points, you talk about the respawns, and how Davenport, they need the respawns if they want to take down Bay State. They're looking good so far in map number 1, and they have the early setup in P3.
feel like every other hill, we're getting a lead change right now, and it should come back through here once again. It might be marginal, but Davenport will retake the lead here. So far, so good, though, in terms of holding on to this from the front line. Anthrax wins a big gunfight through the middle of the map, but unfortunately lose the rooftop spawns once again, and now Bay State can reinforce early.
Are they going to be ready for it? Arrows, they turn around. Might be too little too late. Rex is going to take down a second. Now flying on in with numbers advantage. Rex clearing out the hill by himself. A 3 in the feed for Dylan Rex, and that is going to be the break from the Bulldogs for the last 30 seconds, but not too far away will be the respawns for Davenport, so still a little bit of a tug-of-war for this time, as into the hill comes North, but down he goes as Phantoms and Rex look to collect.
Now Davenport, at this point, I mean, you'll throw another body at this hill, but you're not going to leave too much. Maybe just play for exits, maybe try to make sure nobody can slip the line, get to the back of this church, and they got to be wary here because Druxy's in the spot on a Godhead. He will win the one-on-one in the back. This should at least give some spawn leverage going to the way of Bay State here, but Gecko, this is a big one-on-one.
One-on-one here, and he wins it. Should be time. Druxy, last one standing in the back. Holds off spawns for the Bulldogs, so they're going to be able to reinforce this off of Druxy's play, but you can see the Panthers, they know he's there. They're looking to accumulate 180 before this break comes on in, but when it does come through, it comes in hard. It seems like the Bulldogs, every single time we see them break, Jesse, it's always just 4 down instantly.
I mean, that's a massive play by Druxy. He gets tagged up in the back, and what does he do? Instead of making the push out and taking the gunfight in a silly situation, he backs up, plays his life, and it actually allows them to hold on to those back spawns, being able to reinforce quicker, and therefore getting the break right back in. I mean, you will get a little bit of contest time here from Davenport, but very much so, this is looking like the scrap time now going to the way of Bay State, going back over to P5, and Bay State already with the first player here as well.
It's Rex. Of course it's Rex. Luckily, for Davenport, they're able to shut him down, but a teammate's going to leave them a little bit less in the numbers, and a nade from Silly will give a heavy numbers advantage to Bay State to fly on into this point. Still continuing with the kills are the Bay State Bulldogs. You see Druxy flies on in with his MP40, only good for 1. Sheldon on the staircase gets cleaned up by Silly. It's still back and forth. Will this hill go? Silly looking to be shut down from Anthrax below. Rex goes for the read, but Anthrax finds 2. Opening things up. It's so scrappy into this hill, Jesse, but you have to fly if you're Davenport. You can't allow Bay State to get 19 points or it's going to be all over.
Yeah, it absolutely will be all over. Only need a few seconds left. You can see Davenport keeping it scrappy here.
Okay.
And they will be able to do enough to make sure Bay State can't win here on this hill. See if they can hold on to the remainder of this scrap time as well. Put them around 20 seconds off of Bay State's score, going back into P1. But right now, I think because Bay State can't win on this, you just need to put your full focus over towards P1. They win all the gunfights, and now Davenport set up on the hill where they were able to get 40 seconds off the break of this game.
It's a big moment for the Panthers. Now you can see Bay State spawning up in P2. Big raid out of Druxy for the information off the sun. Into the opening now to fly for the Bulldogs. They got the pinch setting up. North watching in the front line. He's good for 1, but that's about it. He goes to Gecko for the reinforcements. They hold off for now, Jesse. 40 seconds to collect. Davenport, they can win here. Anthrax looking to shut down the reinforcements on the front line, but they are going to get broken through. Bay State, they need to break this, and they need to break this soon. Here they come to go down, and they dethrone the Panthers from Hill 1. They can win it here as well.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely can. Davenport spawning up in middle. They'll basically have one shot at trying to break this hill.
North finds Druxy. Silly needs to be taken down, and they get him. 14 seconds left into it. Rex wants to make a late play into it. Raise the player on the right. Won't be able to take down North. 8 seconds to gain off of this hill. But if you're the Panthers, you need to scrap this. No, you can't scrap this, though, because Druxy can win it here. He's looking to hold things still. Gets it to 249. And on the rotations, it's the Bulldogs. They're going to be putting it away. Tuscan hardpoint. It's theirs to keep.
Wow. I mean, a very, very scrappy first hard point here. Both teams keeping it extremely close. And it's kind of scrappy in a way that you wouldn't expect it to be, where there wasn't a ton of breaks really that came through inside of this game. It just kind of felt like we saw so many lead changes because we saw both teams just playing fundamental hard point. You saw both teams constantly wrapping across the map, setting up where they needed to be successful. And then in setting up, they were holding on to a ton of time, right? So really didn't get any big breaks, especially until that end of the game there when Bay State got that big break onto P1. If they didn't break on that last attempt there, Davenport probably would have been around 5 seconds away from closing that game out with 1 attempt left, but Bay State just able to do it in the nick of time and able to hold on for the win.
And Jesse, you can really tip it to the Panthers there because throughout that whole hard point, I mean, it's not like Bay State were playing bad. You still had Rex Phantoms, Druxy, and Silly all popping off at individual moments to hold off the Panthers. But it's that scrappy mentality that we see out of Davenport, that they always somehow walk out on top in those mixy situations. And they brought it in the hard point. They made it close, 250 to 243. I mean, that's not something to hang your head low on.
No, absolutely not. Davenport came out very hot. I mean, a 40-0 lead against Bay State. I'll take that every day of the week. And, I mean, they played really well. Just unfortunately, Bay State at the end of that game just played that little bit much better. I think the crazy thing to look at, though, is when we take a look at the stats, a lot of players on Davenport going negative inside of that game, and they still kept it that close with Bay State. I think that tells you a lot going into the rest of this series, that as long as Davenport can keep the games close and keep this lane maybe even a little bit closer than we saw here inside of this game, with Sheldon being the only player to go positive, if they can keep it close, they can absolutely take maps off this Bay State roster.
It took a lot out of Bay State. You look, 3 players dropping 30 kills plus out of Dylan, Rex, and Phantoms, as you see 36 and 30 out of Rex, 34 and 25 out of Phantoms. And you know, it's just big numbers out of Bay State that you expect, but I mean, they got pushed through this map number 1, like you said, and that's a sure thing. But looking forward throughout this, it doesn't get any easier if you're Davenport. You talk about it at the top of the show. You got Search and Destroy coming up next, a mode that the Panthers are fairly weaker in and Bay State are stronger in by a mile after what we saw against them against Northwood last week. So, I mean, this is going to be a tough one, especially considering we're headed to Berlin.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, right? Because Bay State against Northwood in the last time these two teams played, or sorry, the last time that we saw Bay State on stream playing, it was a 6-1 victory on Berlin Search and Destroy, and it's exactly where we're heading to next. So if you're Davenport and you're coming into this one, you're watching that VOD from last week, and you're trying to make as many minute little differences to your Search and Destroy that you can, that will help you come into this to be able to go up against the likes of Bay State. We're going to get some replays here from the last map, and I mean, what a banger of a map it was, Colin.
What a banger indeed. And you know, this moment here, this is such an Anthrax moment to see. I mean, it's something you get out of a player, out of a sub like him on Tuscan, is he's always in the middle of the map usually. When Davenport are holding on a hard point, you see Anthrax is somewhere in the middle of the map, making sure that he's cutting off rotations, he's being a nuisance. And we saw that time and time again, Jesse, inside of this map number 1. And it's something that I hope to see Davenport keep up with in future maps, because this is what you need out of Davenport from start to finish. I don't want losses like this to give them that heartbreak feel. I don't want it to slow them down. I want them to keep fueling themselves off of these close, high-pressure games and see if they can take a map off of Bay State.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you were 1 hold away from taking map 1 off of Bay State. You definitely can't hang your head low. Need to keep it high, need to stay composed going in towards the back half of this series. And I think that was something else that we had highlighted inside of our caster notes here as well, saying like, hey, they can't get tilted if things get rough. You lost that map 1. It wasn't even a rough map. So just stay composed, come out here inside of map 2, stay as confident as you were in a lot of those gunfights. You're going towards Berlin S&D. You know how strong Bay State are on this map. Even if you lose this map, you need to just let it go and go out next inside of the control on Gabutu and keep that head held high going in towards the back half of this series. Colin, I think one thing that I didn't fully pick up on until we were kind of looking back and we were looking into that into those replays was Davenport realistically on that Fountain Hill, both times on both sets of rotations, they got broken. If they hold onto that hill on either set of rotations, they probably win that map 1.
And they were the first ones there too.
Both times.
That is maybe a little heartbreak. in the Fountain
Just gotta hold those rooftop spawns.
It's time to brush it off, Jesse. You gotta go into the Berlin Search and Destroy with a new mindset. As you talk about, is this a weaker map for Davenport? I mean, a weaker mode for Davenport for sure. But usually you want to see them with that aggression out of Anthrax and Gecko, and I don't know if we're going to get to see it on a map like Berlin. So looking at them to keep that pacing up, but it's going to be Gecko alone at the A site against 3 Bulldogs.
He's got to at least get 1 here. You can't go down in this situation without at least getting 1 before getting out here. And he's actually not even going to challenge. He'll stay up where he is. He will find 1 on the inside, but Silly slowly creeping around should be able to find a trade.
It was Anthrax taking down the player in the back, and Bomb goes down. Gecko pops up. A trade out of Sheldon as well. Doubles down with his teammate. And that leaves Rex all alone. He's already getting tagged up from Gecko. He's going to put this away. A flawless retake out of the Panthers. Gecko alone on an island at the A side. Jesse, he just holds off, waits for that bomb to go down, pops up after it goes down, and he's going to open things up for Davenport to take this round one.
Yeah. Looked like Davenport was just more than okay with giving up the B site in that spot, or the A site in that spot, because they were very comfortable in their retake, and I think you can see why here, because they gave it up. Everybody, as soon as they realized there's no hit going over towards B, completely circumvents the A zone. We're in a great spot to be able to push in and just won all the gunfights out. A very, very clean first round there. Nobody falls on the side of Davenport, and now you go in towards your offense here. A great chance to be able to go up 2-0 here inside of this map. And it looks like the bomb right now heading over towards this B site. There will be a player from Bay State, though, playing inside of that B zone.
There's a lot of pressure here from Bay State towards B. Silly watching the cross. You got Rex inside fire. But Anthrax slows the line. Silly has no idea. This is a good moment to open up the map. If you're Anthrax, he's going to get a free kill there. Silly goes down, opens things up, but can you take down the player inside the B site? You lose out on Rex, so no reinforcements here for the player on the inside of the B, and Druxy needs to go big here.
Wow.
Force team takes down the bomb carrier, but now you know, if you're the Panthers, that there's some trouble brewing inside of B. And look at that, Phantoms overextends, he evens this up, so Druxy, this is very doable.
I don't know where Phantoms just won that gunfight from, but a huge gunfight win, and now even a possible 2v4 situation here for the likes of Bay State. It's just Anthrax left. He'll win the one-on-one here, but still has one more to go.
The Ace Phantoms, though, wraps around his spawn, gets in a better position. He's able to shoot Anthrax in the back. And they Bay State, they answer back, Jesse. A big round right there. Anthrax opens up with 2, but they weather the storm.
That's a situation for Davenport that you just cannot lose that round there, Colin. I mean, you get a 4v2 against Bay State and a chance to go up 2-0 in the map, and you give away the round at the very end there. Druxy and Phantoms, they pop the 2 versus 4, and they're able to close the round out. I mean, Druxy getting 1 inside of that zone is great. Inside of that B site, it's great for Bay State. But if you're Davenport there, you just need to pinch on that with all 3 players after and just eliminate and single out that player alone, and you probably win that round. But unfortunately, they take a lot of little individual gunfights, and they lose all of them out. Looks like Bay State in this round, though, they want to go back over towards B. This is where they found success, or they found no success over towards A in the first round here. And unfortunately, going to find a team nade off the start of this, and it's going to be very tough to get this bomb out of A now.
This is Druxy taking down Silly. And now a chance for the Panthers to pounce. Numbers advantage. They can just surge on forward and bully against this team. Rex gets caught in the window. Can Anthrax find it? No, gets smacked on by Rex. Absolutely wrecked in that situation. Druxy's going to double down. A little bit of heroics after taking down his teammate, but a 2-on-2 now that North has found the trade. I'm going down. North can see it. Druxy looking to get out, and he does, but North looking to be heavy on his heels. He's going to take the full wrap around. 40 seconds for the retake, but take a look at the Bulldogs here.
Oh,
they're cutting this one.
it's a great
They want
play.
to wrap around Davenport, flip this map out, keep the rotation going, and they have the better position now. And Davenport, they have no idea of this play.
Davenport has absolutely no idea. They're trying to figure out and wonder where the Bay State players went. Well, as soon as they check the hallway, they find their answer. Bay State's able to find one more, and it's just Sheldon left now. Sheldon falls, and that is just a great play from Bay State there, Colin. I mean, they, again, are in a man disadvantage, this time from a team nade, but they get the bomb down, and as soon as they get the bomb down, instead of wrapping back and playing towards the train side of the map, where you see so many teams play and watch that bomb from, they overextend through middle, go up through upper courtyard, and watch the bomb from there. Davenport had no answer to that.
It could have been so much different if Anthrax found that kill on the Rex in the window. Unfortunately, you don't, and I think right now, between those 2 rounds of play, we've seen a very decisive play out of the Bay State, an experienced call, and the indecisiveness of maybe an inexperienced team here in Panthers falling in a round they should have won. Now, even trades up the early rip, 3v3. You have pressure from the Bulldogs to follow up through the middle of the map. It's Druxy to make a play, and he very well could spell trouble. Spots Gecko, shots to the wall. He's going to have to double back, and he gets caught from Anthrax. Now, numbers to the Panthers. You want to see him commit.
Well, this is a round where you absolutely can't lose if you're Davenport. If you lose 3 rounds in a row with the man advantage, there's an issue. And Phantoms instantly finds a trade out here through middle of the map. Nobody from Davenport anywhere near to be able to trade that kill out for themselves. And Bomb going to wrap over towards B. Should be able to go down here quite easily. Keep your eyes on Gecko. Gecko's going to be on a big flank here, trying to come behind the players of Bay State.
He needs this to pay off.
Oh, he saw
because they are
Phantoms there.
so split. He's out on the heels. He's hunting right now. He's got a free kill on the Phantoms. And here he is to the draw. 2v1. Rex last alive. Making the play. Evens it up. 31 seconds. Gecko's already through into mailroom. Is Rex going to get the information on this? Is he going to get the read? Bad timing in his way. And it's the clutch at a Gecko for the full flank. Davenport Panthers even us back up.
These rounds are coming down to just timing on who's going to win them. Dylan Rex, unfortunately, just turns to the left at the worst time. If he holds that angle, Gecko is probably a fish in water there, just getting caught out, and just unfortunate that you are able to find that kill just so easily in that spot. And like you said, it's going to tie us up at 2-2. So very even through these first 4 rounds. I think both teams making some minor mistakes here. Davenport, very easily, I think, in this game at the moment, could be up 4-0 with the man advantages that they've been able to find through the middle of these rounds. Just need to do a better job of closing out some of these rounds.
Ooh, Anthrax hit the shoulder peak. He knows he's there, feeding the information to Gecko, but I don't want to see Gecko get over aggressive. He's going to sit in the spot we saw back in Major 1. Right now, you can see the bomb from Bulldogs rotating back over to the B site. They're down a player. Rex evens it back up. You look at the commit here. They want this B site. They're looking to take it. Anthrax is going to get red through the middle of the map now. Numbers to the Bulldogs, and they're in such a great position to put away this round.
And another man advantage and a first blood for Davenport off the start of this round. They were up in a 4v3, now down in a 3v2. So need to do a better job once you get those man advantages of closing these rounds out. We will get pushed to a 2v2, but Bomb will go down over at A. Silly's in a great spot as well to be able to watch the flank, make sure nobody pushes through the train side. And this time for Bay State, I would expect we see a much more regular setup here to watch this A Bomb.
A 1-1 split, very disconnected. Are both Bay State players. Player number 3, Druxy, on the staircase, looking to win the gunfight, though. Just tags from either side, and they're going to separate with respect. Gecko looking to make the play. Reads out Silly's positioning. They know Druxy's in the back. 23 seconds for these two players to fly on in, though. Gecko goes first, and there's no follow-up. Now, Sheldon, he's got to run this. He's going to hop the bomb. Hopes that Druxy's going to push him, and he gets caught with the pistol out, swapping his weapons. Druxy clutches up.
It's tough, too, because he was thinking in that spot, hey, if I go for the defuse now, no way Druxy checks this. But a little bit wiser than what he thought originally, will hop off. But unfortunately, like you said, just caught with the pistol in hand, and Druxy takes full advantage of it. And that's another round, Colin. That's 4 rounds in a row where we've seen Davenport with a man advantage at some point in the round. And that's 3 of 4 rounds that Davenport has lost.
I don't like those play calls. I mean, Gecko needed to be a little bit more patient there. He needed to communicate with Sheldon what he was doing, and an easy pinch would have taken down Druxy. There's plenty of time to make it happen, Jesse, but I mean, the Panthers, they are just making very minute mistakes that are opening up worlds of opportunities here for Bay State. Now, looking at the A site, Anthrax makes the play, takes down Phantoms, and a double down out of Sheldon. I mean, 2-player advantage. Let's see if they can put this one away. Anthrax is a little bit over-aggressive. Silly's going to catch him, and just like that, we're even again.
It's a 4v2 again, now down to a 2v2. Bomb still nowhere near that A site that was wide open. And because North was back watching the B site with the bomb never goes down. And now North is in a 1 versus 2 situation, knows both players are in fire, and needs to find a way to get this bomb down. It looks like he wants to move it over towards A. Doesn't look like they should have the information if you're Bay State that the bomb is going down here yet. So he will be able to get the bomb down, will be able to get out, and he's just going to have to watch this from the backside of Train and hope he can win 2 1-on-1s.
Got the setup for the AR. Nobody through the middle of the map to take this early, so we'll have the better gunfight versus both of these players. Silly slips on through. North doesn't spot it. It's going to be Druxy first. There's the information. Silly's already down into the train station. An easy cleanup and an easy defuse. Silly wants it all to himself. He's going to take down Druxy. He's like, nope. No, that's mine.
Hey, he's lucky it's not league play, man. You get it.
Right.
You died too. Would not be a fun spot to be in. You would have ended up losing that round out. But Bay State keeping to the tradition here, Colin. And again, Davenport in a 4v2 in the early portions of that round. All they need to do in that spot, get the bomb down, hold the line. Instead, they get a little bit over-aggressive. Everybody pushes out. Everybody ends up following the Bay State players that were just stacked up inside of fire. And Bay State, for a, 5th round in a row, down man advantage, comes out on top of the round. It's just, it's getting ridiculous at this point.
I mean, what more do you want? They had full control of A, and they go for more. It's just Panthers a little bit over-aggressive, and it's costing them here. Gecko and like wide in the side, and Druxy completely baits him out the door. It's 2 quick kills out of Bay State to take control of the A side. Looking for a quick plant here, but hot on their heels will be the rotation here from Davenport. See if they can win a 4v2 of themselves. Anthrax leading the charge, finds the first. Sliding on through, spots Rex in the doorway, but you can see the Bulldogs here disengaging from this gunfight, looking to take him on the outside. Anthrax opens this one up, evens us up at 2. You need North to start helping him out. He's going to go down all up to Anthrax. There's just nothing you can do in that position.
Yeah, and Anthrax, he could not do that all alone there in that spot. It looked like originally he was just trying to hop onto the bomb and go for a stretch and a little bit of a ninja defuse, but just wasn't in the right spot for him to be able to stretch that around, and he would have been cleaned up if he went for the ninja there with the way that Bay State was set up. They were by the back steps. They had the angle to watch that bomb, so just unfortunate for him, not able to get that down, and now Druxy also on 5 in a row. I mean, if he finds streaks, even if they lose this round, that glide bomb will just give so much information. And it's so deadly on this map as well that you are very likely in a spot to win. So got to keep our eyes on Druxy, see if we can find those streaks.
They go back to B. See if they commit to this one. Setonate onto Druxy. It's his mark too. So the second one from Sheldon should take it down, and it does. Numbers advantage here for Davenport. And they do get into the B side, looking to get a quick bomb plant. Keep your eyes peeled at player number 4. Phantom is making his full rotation around. You have the retake set up from Bay State. Rex opens it up with 2. Brings back the numbers for Bay State, looking to put this map away on Berlin. You need his 2 last players from Davenport to go big, but you're losing out on Anthrax on the inside of the B site. Gecko with an MP40, looking to take control from Warehouse, but Rex is going to get a little whiff of him, snaps around, takes him down, and Bay State go up 2-0 in the series.
This is going to sound very, very foolish of me, but I honestly think that Davenport could have won every single one of these rounds.
I like majority of them.
Like, at least these last 6. All 6 rounds that Bay State won, I think that Davenport could have won. They had the ban advantage in every single one of those rounds, but they lose every single round because of simply better positioning from the Bay State players and better decision-making in a lot of those small, tiny situations. And that's what makes the difference between a number 1 team and a number 10 team, in my opinion. And when you watch this Bay State roster, I mean, that was not the cleanest search and destroy by any means. That was very, very losable. But they just took advantage of Davenport's little mistakes time and time again inside of that map, which then cost Davenport the map win. I mean, how do you lose that many rounds with the man advantage? I couldn't tell you.
We just saw it. We just saw exactly how you can lose it.
It's not okay.
It was just, I said it earlier, Jesse. It looked like inexperience compared to experience. And the Bulldogs, they just know what to do when their backs are against the wall. And I mean, you have big plays coming out from them, big play calls. I mean, you reference back to getting that bomb down at the A site. 2 players wrap out, and they flip the map on Davenport completely, getting control of where the original positioning of Davenport was, and they had no idea of that play call. So, I mean, some big moves out of Bay State to take control at a disadvantage, and they just get the job done no matter how much is stacked against them. You'll take a look at the stats and you can see a big performance out of Druxy, 10-4.
Yeah, absolutely big performance. We'll end up finishing it off on that 5 spree that we saw there, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just lack of awareness on the map from Davenport, if it's lack of being able to close out rounds that you're up big in the numbers on, because the one round, Colin, that like really stands out to me the most was, I can't remember exactly what number it was, but I believe it was in the middle rounds. You had that 4v2 on the A site for Davenport. They win both gunfights. They have a wide open bomb site, and instead of planting the bomb is all the way back in Warehouse on the other side of the map. And everybody flies out to go over towards Burning to try to win more gunfights, as opposed to just holding the line and getting the bomb down in an easy 4v2 situation. I mean, it's just those small things that you just can't make those little mistakes if you're Davenport, if you want to be able to take maps off Bay State. And I mean, in a mode that's not very strong for Davenport, it could have been a very, very big map to be able to take off a Bay State.
It could have been a big map indeed, but now if you want to take down the Bay State Bulldogs, Davenport Panthers, they have to reverse sweep them, starting on Gava2 control coming up next. Folks, we're going to hop to a break, and when we come back, this is looking to be a big one for Bay State to shut them down in 3, but can the Panthers sneak away map? We're going to have to find out. Welcome back to the Alpha Stream, everyone. What an interesting map we've had, or what an interesting match we've had so far between both of these teams. Bay State Bulldogs up 2-0 over the Davenport Panthers. But Jesse, as we take a look at the maps, I mean, we can talk about it a little bit. This could easily be a 1-1 if Davenport just had a little bit more ice.
I think this could be a very easy 2-0 for Davenport right now, to be completely candid with you. I mean, that map one Tuscan, they're probably one solid hold away from closing that map out against Bay State. Bay State's able to get that break in a few times on the rooftops, and then the final break of the game onto P1 when Davenport had such a solid setup. Bay State able to close it out. Map 2, on the other hand, I mean, Davenport could have won all 8 of those rounds, and unfortunately, Bay State was just their dad on that map. They just completely sunned them, and now we head towards a Gavutu control, and Davenport, now very much so on the back foot, needs to come back with a big answer here.
A big answer. And Gavutu control has to be where it is. We're hopping into this map 3. It has to be a reverse sweep out of Davenport if they want to take a win off the best team in collegiate Call of Duty at the moment. And it's not an easy map to make that happen, Jesse. I mean, we've seen Davenport on Gavutu before. Not a weak team inside of this map, but the map mode combo is a little bit foreign to me for this team, and it's really scary because you look at the way that Bay State have been holding them, getting complete 4 down in the hard points back and back to back sometimes. You have to be careful in your offenses if you're Davenport, because this Bay State team, it could easily spawn trap you.
Oh, for sure. I think this is still a very winnable map, though, for Davenport here inside of this series. They're 6-2 in control inside a top-tier competition, going up against Bay State, who is 9-1. They actually did lose the control last week to Northwood, so it could be a little bit of a weakness here for Bay State. We'll have to see if Davenport can take full advantage, but they'll find a few kills off the rip. They'll already get a tick of progress in at the A zone, and you've got a lot of good forward map progression right off the start of this here from Anthrax as well.
And you get Anthrax just doing Anthrax things throughout green and cages, and he is just picking apart the Bulldogs off the respawn on 5 in a row, looking for streaks over the shoulder. He's going to find Silly 6 in a row. Give him the strafing run. Now Glide Bomb, maybe on hand. No, caught down from Phantoms, who gets eyes on from those ring staircases. But while that whole stint's going on, Jesse, 2 ticks of progression here for the Davenport Panthers before the Bay State Bulldogs finally catch a break, and this is some good openings here from Davenport. Another 2 to go down. They could potentially even finish this with a stack.
Oh, they will 100% finish this here. I don't think that Bay State is close enough to be able to touch, especially with having 2 players on the hill, and it will 100% be done. Davenport closes it out. And the big thing there with Anthrax pushing so far forward and able to find all those kills off the start of this game is now you've also got a 6-life lead here, or an 8-life lead, I should say, going in towards trying to break onto B, and they've already found the opening, and they are already onto the B zone.
I didn't want to touch on it too much because we've been talking about Anthrax all series long, but he is that player to look at. Ubi opening things up, and 8-2. He's having a fantastic start to this control. Working over to the B zone hasn't been the easiest just yet. They have ring control, but you take a look at the minimap, and well, on screen, Silly here in a position where he can really punish this team if he gets let in the behind.
And unfortunately, Davenport, they don't take full advantage of being able to get onto that A zone. Nobody really able to follow up with hopping on it, and they will lose that one player that was inside the zone. They got wall banged out, and now Bay State looking to get the full defensive setup here that they want. They can still force a spawn trap out here if they get a couple kills in through middle of the map, and all the kills right now lighting up blue, going their way, and it looks like they want to try to fly forward and try to pin them in the back, but I don't think they're realizing Davenport has spawned up at the bottom of the map.
Sees the information. Can he find the shots though? Nade Kobe's it all the way deep docks. Doesn't hit the mark though just yet. Able to take up north enough for a kill, so lessens the number of Davenport in the spawn, but they've completely flipped this one out. Bay State have rotated into a better position to handle this situation that they're going to be caught in. They just need to find the gunfights, and they don't. 4 go down. An open for Davenport, and they get onto the hill. It's going to be Gecko soaking up this progression all alone. What a good moment there to give a little bit of leeway now to the Panthers off spawn.
Not only do they get in, but they continue to window down the lives of these Bay State players. Only 7 lives remaining, but I mean, what was once an 8-kill lead, now down to only 2 here for Bay State. They can still absolutely close this round out against Davenport.
25 seconds. Lives are even. So, has to be the one to make an opening, but Phantoms spikes him down clean. And that's going to be the Panthers right back to the respawn, Jesse. 13 seconds, and you don't have lives to make this happen. Bay State Bulldogs, they weather the storm in round number 1. Yes, they give up 3 ticks of progression, but they don't allow anything towards B. So relatively, a strong bounce back after a very strong opening from Davenport.
Oh, Colin, I feel like I'm about to say what I said in that search and destroy once again. These are just rounds you just can't lose if you're Davenport when you're going up against a team like Bay State. You have an 8-life lead in control. You get onto the B zone twice, and unfortunately you end up losing the round out. It's tough. It's a tough spot to be in because you know they're playing at their best right now. And unfortunately, Bay State's best is just that little bit better. They're able to bounce back from these tough spots that they're in. And now Bay State on the offense, looking to answer back with at least 3 ticks of progress to tie it up, but maybe even more than that here in this round.
2 for 1 right off the rip. Dylan Rex splits the odds. Roxy's able to hop onto the stops the clock in a minute 7, looking to gain this progression, but Anthrax cuts him down. So time's going to keep burning, Jesse. Lies even at 27, and Bulldogs haven't made any progress over to the B zone just yet, so no positioning or no map control for them over towards Ring. It's still going to be a toss all over towards the A zone, and look at those trades. It's 3 in a row from the Bulldogs to hop onto this time. They take down Anthrax. Now they can stack the site and start getting this progression in their favor.
And Silly flies completely forward. He's going to be behind all these Davenport players in the back line, just able to do small little beats of damage, which will help and turn a couple of those Davenport arrows around, leaving it just that much easier to be able to cap onto this A zone. Fortunately for Bay State, though, they will lose a few of those gunfights out through the middle of the map, allowing an opening for Anthrax to push their way through, get onto A, stop the second tick of progress from coming through, and now you have an opportunity to try to pin Bay State in the back of their spawn.
They leave Rex all alone towards A, and they don't even get that second tick. Phantoms cuts down Sheldon. He opts onto B. Stops the clock at 33 seconds. A little bit of a life lead for Bay State as well, so not out of the water just yet are the Panthers here. Phantoms are going to find Anthrax again, but you're looking at a well-placed nade out of Sheldon to clear off that pressure to the B zone, and all the players from Bay State looking to put away A.
I think if you're Davenport here, I think you just give up the A zone. You give up A and you play for a B here, and they will start to overextend a few players through the middle of the map to go over towards B, just looking for exit kills here, and this is a big one-on-one for Silly, because if he finds this kill, it opens up a lot of ability for himself to not only stop the spawn trap from coming through, but also maybe even be able to push up through docks now and try to start putting some pressure on Davenport coming off spawn.
Turret's going to be set up right now for Silly. Only good for 1. It's a 2 for 2 for either side. Split kill feed, slowing down the pressure here from Bay State. But minute 4, Ring control. A couple of kills could open this up. Look at the minimap. Gecko is making the play all the way through the middle of this map. He's in behind enemy lines here with a pistol in hand. They don't even know, and he's playing this so well. Trigger discipline to the moon. Pays off with a kill into Silly. Can he find any more? No, it's going to be up to the teammates to cut down the rest of the Bay State players. And again, single-handedly, Gecko this time shutting down a Bay State attack.
This is a good answer from Davenport here. They've slowed down the game. They've brought the life count back to just about even, and now they can look to just try to slay out and pin these Bay State players in their spawn as they try to come off here. Only 3 ticks of progression here for Bay State. They will win a gunfight at the very front of Ring, so gives you at least a small opening now to try to get on in. And Bay State, as long as they can touch the zone, they could still win this out with numbers as well.
On the cross. Can't find the kill onto Droxy. He gets shot from behind from Phantoms. 3 go down from the Panthers. They have no more respawns, Jesse, and suddenly disarray on the map. Gecko has to make the play in the back. Slips the line. He has snuck through. It gets gained here from the Bay State Bulldogs, but Gecko's not able to find anything but the first kill. Phantoms is going to join his team on this hill. North, the last one standing. He's going to slide on out right into the guns of the Bulldogs, and I think he died before the tick came through, so only 2 ticks towards the B zone. Bay State up 2-0 with a 5-tick to 3 advantage.
That's a great thing to bring up as well, Colin, is that they do only end up finding those 5 points of progression there on total inside of that round. Yes, they come away with the round win, but now if you're Davenport, you do need to win an offense, but if you can take this offense with all 6 and then hold Bay State to only getting 3 ticks of progression inside of the next round, you can still guarantee yourself that final defense here. So they're not out of it yet, and honestly, if they can play to the way that they played off the start of round number 1 and get the advantage that they got, as long as they can close it out here inside of this round, they still have a chance here inside of this map.
Into the A zone we go. North leading the way, but it's going to be Sheldon and Gecko to find the kills. It's not good enough, though, to break through Bay State just yet, as Silly cuts down 2 on the inside of that LST ship. Sheldon's going to be left on an island in enemy lines as well. You know Silly's on the opposite side. He's going to slide out to find that kill, but quick on the trigger will be Druxy. Slides on in, clears out the pressure, and he is going to slow down the Panthers for now, Jesse, but not totally. As you can see, North still in control at the top of the ship, in a position where he can really let his teammates back over to the A zone while you have Anthrax over at B.
An A at least gets 1 tick of progression in it, like you said. B as well. Quickly moving up here, but nades, shots, they all come down from Bay State. They get both players off both zones, and now, I mean, you only get 1 tick of progression in at A. You get nothing over towards B. And if you're Davenport, it's pretty much time to commit to one site and try to put your full forces at it.
Looks like the A zone is going to be that one. Pressure top ship. Anthrax looking to take down the players around the outside. Won't finish that kill. He has to go back to help his team. Still dancing with the player. Slides on out. Takes down Phantoms. It's going to be 3 down again for the Bulldogs here. Looking to put the A zone away as you get the stack here from Anthrax and his teammate. But it's time for the nades of Bay State as they have been on point, Jesse. And it's going to allow them back in for one last shot at this A zone. Or I say that, it's going to be a little bit late. The A zone gets captured. Add another minute to the clock. A 5-life lead.
Yeah, but this is the big thing that Bay State does, though. They allow that to come through. They knew exactly what was going on. They allow that to come through to set up exit kills, and they get every single player on Davenport before they can even leave the A zone. And what does this do? It completely ensues the spawn trap, because you can see now everybody getting pinned in the back. They do find an opening here if you're Sheldon out towards ring. That's a big gunfight, because now you can at least start to work your way out towards one side of the map and maybe not just keep yourself pinned in the back here. Damage has been done, though.
Oh, the damage has been done tenfold, Jesse. Double the lives right now. The Panthers are the Bulldogs and in a position where they can put this away in a 3-0 sweep on the control and a 3-0 sweep in the series. Davenport, they need to dig deep if they want a shot at this, but you still got Phantoms to take care of in the ring. It's 1-for-1 trade. At that. It's now going to open up an opportunity for player number 6, Druxy, to hold this cross. Takes down Sheldon off the respawn. 3 down again. Only 2 more players to take down, Jesse. And you're looking at Bay State, the 3-0 sweep. The Davenport Panthers here in match 1 of the Alpha Stream. Easy as pie. This one was done before it started here. Bay State, they knew what to do. They took care of business, and they got it done in 3.
It's tough. It's really, really tough, because I want to be really, really excited for Bay State. The fact that they were able to come out, they were able to get the job done here against the number 10 team. But honestly, like, I feel like Bay State has a lot of work to do still. Honestly, I feel like there were a lot of very, very winnable situations in there for Davenport. Yes, Bay State. Yes, you clutch up. Yes, it looks good. I don't think it was the cleanest victory that they could have gotten, though. I think that it could have been a lot cleaner. I think they made a lot of little mistakes inside of those maps as well. I mean, looking back at map 1, that was a very, very close map against a good hardpoint team in Davenport. You do clutch it up. That's a big clutch up there for yourselves. You were one of the only 2 teams out of the 2 to be able to really get breaks. Inside of that map 2, though, I mean, that was an abysmal map for Bay State. They should not have won that map by any means. That should have been Davenport all day, every day. Bay State just clutched up, though. They kind of just relied on individual gun skill to be able to win out that map 2. And then even that map 3, I mean, rounds 2 and 3, very good for Bay State. Round 1, though, very winnable for Davenport. They just don't close it out.
I mean, just, yeah, I like that you bring up these points, because you look at what's up next, and it's playoffs for Bay State and Davenport, and you win this map here if you're Bay State, or you win this match. But, I mean, if this was a Northwood, if this was an Ottawa, you probably get beat in this series. Yep. And, yeah, you know what? You kind of play to your opponents. Maybe if they were playing one of those top 3 teams, they would have come out with a little bit more fire. But, I mean, you can't look at it from that point of view. You need to play every game like you're playing at your best, and here it's not what you expect the best out of Bay State to look like, and there were some weak points that will be exploited by a team like Ottawa, like a team like Northwood. Those top 3 teams are going to exploit these weaknesses. Absolutely. I mean, if they played like this last week against Northwood, it would have been a 3-0 for Northwood last week, if we're being completely candid here. But I mean, I don't want to completely take it away from Bay State. You can see it here. It was a 3-0 victory for them. So, I mean, a very good job nonetheless, but it is our job to stay here and to critique a little bit on the desk. And if I'm critiquing anything as well, I'm looking at the side of Davenport. I mean, it's very unfortunate. You lose that map 1. You had the opportunity to win.
You lose that map 2, definitely had the opportunity to win it, and you could have won that round number 1 inside of the control, just did not ice it up. And I think that's what it comes down to, maybe just getting a little bit more clutch potential on the side of Davenport, being able to close out those clutch situations to be able to close out these games. And like we said coming into this one, Colin, it comes full circle now because they do end up losing out the match, but this is some great VOD for Davenport to be able to go back, look over, and make adjustments and fixes from going in towards the rest of their series and going in towards playoffs, because this team very much so, they've qualified for playoffs. They will be a team to be reckoning with inside of playoffs. And in all honesty, with this Davenport roster, I think you clean up some of these tiny mistakes, and I think that this team is an easy top 5 team.
No, you know what? That is a bold statement to make, and I'm sure that chat is going to be ripping you apart, Jesse, for saying it. But hey, I mean, it's one definitely to solidify here. If you say it, and I can back you on that one. I mean, those maps definitely look doable for Davenport, and it's exciting that it's all coming out to this in the last day of the regular season, Jesse, and now going into playoffs next. I mean, this is just two teams who are looking to make improvements going to the playoffs, and then if they make those improvements, like you said, they can be top teams, and that is going to shake up so many things in the power rankings, in what we get through playoffs, in the whole storyline to set up for playoffs. It's just an exciting time right now to be in collegiate Call of Duty, because teams are definitely playing their hearts out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you've seen it, especially here today. I mean, both teams, they played very, very strong through a lot of these games, but I think you saw towards the back half of that match, as soon as Davenport kind of lost that map, or that round number 2, and then got put into the back foot inside of round 3. I mean, I saw some players leave the lobby at the very end there, so kind of lost full at the very end. Hopefully that doesn't deteriorate them going in towards the rest of the into the playoffs and that, and hopefully they come back stronger than ever.
We're going to have to wait to see back in the playoffs, but that's going to be it for this first series of the night. A 3-0 sweep from the number 1 team in the CCL, the Bay State Bulldogs. They come in, they get the job done. It's business as usual for team number 1. But coming up next, you got FSU Esports versus the Barrie Bucks, and I hold Shift and Visions to take you along through that journey. We'll see you a quick break, and new game on the flip side.